In an election year when immigration is a top issue that is being debated, the Supreme Court has decided to rule on DACA. That's a program protecting young immigrants from deportation who came here illegally as children. Justices ruled this morning that they will decide whether the Trump administration can end the Obama-era program. They could be making that decision by next June, as President Trump is seeking re-election. The local rhetoric today felt very familiar. Colorado's newly elected Attorney General says Congress has the power to fix this. Senator Cory Gardner says Congress is getting close, even though they failed to do so last year.
We came 6 votes away last year, a little over a year ago, from passing a DREAM Act. We can do it again. And so let's let Congress solve this problem before the courts even have to deal with it.
People have made decisions based on a promise by the federal government. The federal government's commitment can just be pulled out willy-nilly and destroy people's lives. People won't trust the federal government.
Senator Cory Gardner is also going after re-election in 2020. President Trump ordered an end to the program called DACA in 2017. Federal courts prevented the administration from ending it immediately. Over the weekend, up for negotiation is the STEM School Highlands Ranch future. The Douglas County School Board and the school have not reached an agreement about a charter extension for STEM. Parents at the school, where a student was killed in a shooting last month, want a 5-year extension. The district is now talking about a 1-year extension. The district cited a long list of issues at STEM that include security concerns. Charter schools have long been a heated political issue in Douglas County. If you watch local news long enough, we've got a guarantee for you, right? There is going to be a story about someone driving their car into a house. Kind of makes you wonder, why on earth does this keep happening? There is a couple in Aurora who's really curious about this, mostly because 6 drivers have crashed onto their property in the 14 years they've been there. 6. One man crashed his car into a rock on their property. Over the years, their fence was damaged. One driver ended up in their backyard. And 5 of the 6 drivers took off. Guys, we can do better. Photojournalist Tom Cole talked to Donna and James, who said just like their rock, they're not going to budge.
Whatever it takes to slow this at the corner down, because somebody is going to die. It's not a matter of maybe. Someone's going to die.
Donna and James Renee love their home.
We got married here. This was our venue.
Over the years, though, their venue has been attracting attention.
A neighbor was at my door with, I think, a piece of the car in her hand and said, "Somebody just smashed through your fence." I said, "What?" That was the first one. The second one would have been for his classic car.
People driving by seem unable to slow down and make the turn in front of their house. It makes bedtime difficult.
We lay in bed at night, and our bedroom is right there, and there are so many times when we'll lay there and we'll go like this. Okay, we missed another one.
They put some huge boulders out front, but people can't seem to hit them.
When he put it up like that, I said, "Honey, it looks like a tombstone." Right. He goes, "I know." I said, "You want me to put a red target on the front?"
That's what we should have, a target on it.
For whatever reason, they avoided the rocks.
There was a 4th one.
Oh my gosh, I forgot about that.
So many, they're losing count.
And number 5 happened last January 1st. This one was 6.
The last one in May, and James fixed that one too.
This is all new here. 6
crashes onto their property since moving here in 2004. Kind of expensive.
$15,000 to $20,000.
They would like maybe some speed bumps, rumble strips, or maybe people can just slow down.
It's a nice neighborhood.
They thought about moving, in fact had the house sold, but couldn't find another house they liked. So they're staying.
We love this house. I want to die here.
We've got a lot of time in here. We've got a lot of memories in here. As she said, we've got a lot of memories in here.
I might die here.
Well, we might, literally.
If I stay in the right position, I could very well die here.
Hi, can we just make a commitment that that doesn't happen, because that is no way to go. And I'm here today to tell you that rocks versus drivers is making a comeback. While that home seems to be a magnet for bad drivers, so do rocks in parking lots, which you think would be easy to avoid, but people just keep proving us wrong. Take a look at this one. King Soopers off Alameda and Wadsworth in Lakewood. We just don't know how, we don't know why. But drivers keep high centering on the large rocks. Josh Dean spotted this latest one as the tow truck was helping to get it back on the pavement. And we've got to just do a flashback to the OG Target rock. Remember when we thought it was a good idea to live stream the rock at the Colorado Mills Target in Lakewood in 2017? We were right, because we caught a red SUV high centered on the original Target rock as well. Wasn't the rock's fault, but the rock had to be removed regardless. And we've got more today with the Target in a parking lot at the Southwest Plaza Mall in Littleton. Seems like each Target has its own rock. Again, we don't know why. The Cadillac felt that same pain when it got stuck. Following the rules was not on the agenda when 20 Democrats hoping to take the White House in 2020 debated, then bickered, went over time during the Democratic presidential debate. It was a night of opportunity for Colorado Senator Michael Bennet and former Governor John Hickenlooper to get a little attraction for their campaigns. Senator Bennet stuck to his MO of raising his voice when he took on other candidates about tax cuts and health care. 9 News political analyst James Mejia, though, believes that helped Bennet stand out.
He gets that burr under his saddle. Bennet makes some very clear, concise, and direct points. I think we started to see him warm up in that regard last night a little bit at the debate. Certainly, I think Senator Bennet had a better night than Governor Hickenlooper. I don't think Governor Hickenlooper had the breakout night that he wanted to have. I wouldn't say that Hickenlooper had a big moment. I thought his best time on the debate stage was his closing remarks, talking about accomplishments in Colorado.
Senator Bennet got in more talking time, speaking for just over 8 minutes total. Hickenlooper didn't get the spotlight as often, getting about 5 minutes to speak. But you know, it's not about how much time you get, it's about what you say in that time, right? Our politics guy, Marshall Zellinger, chatted with both Colorado candidates about their practice routines before getting on stage.
Do you do this like a coach would do with a sports team? Like you practice a debate and you go back and watch it? Is that
absolutely
some of it?
You look at, and we've done mock debates with people playing the former staff members playing the roles of all the other candidates.
3 families in this country control more wealth than 160 million Americans.
Was that somebody doing Bernie Sanders' voice?
Yes, it was. We had a very good Bernie, and he's gotten his voice pretty perfectly. When you're watching the tape back, sometimes you forget.
How many of these did you do?
We did just over a dozen mock debates.
For me, it looked like spending some time during the week at a middle school in Washington, D.C. near my house. I was back in the public schools again for the mock debate, and it was great. Needless to say, how I stand is a topic of a lot of discussion because I have a tendency to slouch. I'm trying not to do that right now.
Socialism is not going to get us anywhere. It only will divide us further, and we will find out.
You just practice for an errant boo here or there and make sure he's able to plow right through it, which he did.
What is more important? What comes out of his mouth, how it comes out of his mouth, how he's standing, that he's not sweating.
All of the above. Debates aren't easy, and you've got to do it all right in 6 to 8 minutes over 2 hours. That's all the time you got. You practice getting engaged with, getting attacked, getting ignored, not being attacked by name, but being sort of sideswiped essentially. So you try and practice it all.
There's going to be another Democratic debate in Detroit at the end of July. Candidates will have to meet tougher polling and fundraising requirements to qualify for that one. So it wasn't really surprising, right, that opioids were coming up during the Democratic presidential debates. But candidate plans are hinging on who gets elected and then waiting a whole bunch of time before anything goes into effect, frankly, if at all. Now think of all of the people who will lose their lives in that time. This isn't necessarily a problem we have to really hand off to someone else. The FDA is considering rules for new opioids to be very clear about how addictive they are compared to what you can already get. They also want companies to talk about how these pills can be risky for kids, friends, relatives who can get into your medicine cabinet. The government is asking you to weigh in about this now. It's not the flashiest story and certainly not the most controversial one we've talked about here. But sometimes the most simple ideas don't always get the attention they deserve, even though a lot of times they have the best chance of surviving and then making change. There's a goose problem in Denver. We've got too many of them. The city has a new solution that's putting goose meat on the tables of families in need. We're serious. And a Friday isn't a Friday without this.
He's going to be a big brother, July 28th.
Yes, can I get some excitement?
Your good news is next.
Welcome back. A hot summer day and on a Friday. I'm meteorologist Kathy Sabin, and we have a beautiful evening out there. 96 was the official, but we touched 98 in downtown Denver. We should be about 87 this time of year, but with high pressure anchored over the area and the storm track to the north, that warm desert air will continue to move in, allowing in just enough moisture for a couple of high base storms with wind and lightning, but not a lot of rain. The pattern shifts Sunday into Monday. It'll be a little cooler with a better chance of rain from storms, but tomorrow will be another warm, dry day with highs in the 90s and only isolated late-day foothill storms, and one or two may move over the metro. Not tonight. Calm and dry, low 62. Tomorrow's high 93 degrees. A little cooler Sunday with afternoon storms and rain showers with the coolest day of the week on Monday. Mother Nature may have a few fireworks of her own planned for the 4th, Anusha, but all in all, comfortable weather heading into the first full week of July.
All right. Thank you, Kathy. If you think geese are aggressive and nasty, you're going to have a lot of feels about this story. The Denver Parks and Rec has a new strategy for controlling the city's goose population by rounding them up to be killed and then given as meat to metro area families in need. We are serious about this. The roundups began this month. Crews from the U.S. Department of Agriculture's Wildlife Service Division are doing the work on Denver's behalf. Parks and Rec says cutting down on the estimated 5,000 geese living in Denver year-round will improve the health of lakes and ponds. They say it's reducing the roughly 5,000 pounds of goose poop the city absorbs each day. Mind you. As you can imagine, the new strategy has some critics, including a retired CU Boulder professor of biology and ecology.
Killing them will not work in the long run. We will face this problem next year as they've faced in the past. Because once humans become part of the equation, in many cases, they have to always be part of the equation.
We've removed a lot of the resident population, so no matter what, it will take time for that resident population to grow back. So we just have to manage that situation.
All right, so when it's cold outside and migratory geese come to winter in Denver, Parks and Rec will also haze the birds with what's called a goosenator. We showed you that a few years ago here on Next. It's a remote-controlled, all-terrain vehicle that essentially just freaks the birds out so that they fly away. At the time, the city was looking for volunteers to operate its goosenator. They're meant to mimic the effect of natural predators, which turns out have all but disappeared from many of Denver's urban parks. So don't forget, we are inching closer to RTD's promised train to Longmont. We're keeping the countdown up to date for Kyle while he's out. Our fancy graphics editor is also still on vacation, so we're still using this graphic that Kyle drew up with his really nice artistic skills right there. On Tuesday, we had 11,148 days left. This is really hard because this thing is bigger than I am, but today we are down to 11,145 days. RTD says without extra funding, the train voters agreed to pay for it in 2004 won't be fully operational until 2050. 50 years ago, the landscape for the LGBTQ community was drastically different.
Before the Stonewall riots, it was very common for gay bars or other LGBT spaces or organizations to be raided by the police.
Today marks the day protests turn into a catalyst for many to change that. We look at the history of the Stonewall Rebellion. "50 years ago today, protests in New York City turned into a flashing point for a lot of people in the LGBTQ movement. The impact of the Stonewall Rebellion was felt far and wide. That includes more than 1,700 miles away here in Denver. Here's a look at the history.
For the last 6 months, we've had a history display here in our lobby about the Stonewall riots. In many states across the country, it was illegal to be gay, to be involved in a same-sex relationship. It was very common for gay bars to be raided by the police. On June 28, 1969, New York City police raided a gay bar in Greenwich Village called the Stonewall Inn. This particular night, the people at the Stonewall decided no more, and so it erupted into a riot. 1 year later, on the anniversary of the Stonewall riots, activists in New York as well as in Los Angeles held what they called Christopher Street Liberation Day, which was the first gay pride march that had ever happened. Activism really came to Denver in the early 70s. A man named Jerry Garash led what has become known as the Denver City Council Gay Revolt. This is the first parade permit that was issued in 1976. It's estimated that last year, approximately 26 million people worldwide took part in a Pride celebration. 2019 marks the 50th anniversary of what is considered by many people to be really the catalyst of the modern LGBT civil rights movement. There have been many achievements that have happened over the last 50 years, such as marriage equality, such as great civil rights protections here in Colorado. However, we have to remember that many people still live without those protections. I really hope that people view our exhibit and participate in events are able to think about how much has been accomplished and how much is possible to accomplish when you stand up for your civil rights. The community represents people from every walk of life, and I hope that people can realize that all these people should be treated fairly and equally.
On this hot day, we found your good news near the water, Confluence Park, where you cooled off and shared the good things that are going on in your life.
Good news.
The good news, I would say that everybody's happy around here.
My good news for the day is that we're in town from Pennsylvania for a wedding for my nephew.
My good news is I'm gonna be a new dad. Mom's having a baby, so we're giving her a little break this morning. You're gonna be a big brother.
My good news is that I did wake up today healthy, wealthy, not wealthy and wise. Healthy, not wealthy and wise.
I get to spend 4th of July with my entire family. Like, all of my nuclear family is coming to Denver area to spend the 4th of July with us.
My good news is that I'm here in Denver, Colorado, with my boyfriend, enjoying the beautiful weather.
My good news is that I am spending my weekend in Denver, Colorado with my boyfriend. And yeah, we plan on making the best of it.
The good news is that I'm going to be on Channel 9 News.
Next with Carl Clark.
Next with Carl Clark. Kyle Clark. Oh, you're going to be on next?
Yeah.
Oh, turn that off.
Carl, he's back on Monday. Evelyn said that she and her husband are officially retired together today. Evelyn, a big congratulations. See you next time.